Welcome, quilters. Let's look at today's template technique tip, which is looking at 3/4 of a design. What happens when we don't use the full design? Welcome, quilters. I want to talk today about how we can create lovely border designs when we only use a portion of the design. So how this got started is in my basic class in my Amazing World of Circles and Ovals, I talk about using 3/4 of a circle. And as you can see right here, 3/4 of a circle creates that lovely E design. And using a circle lets us create that design evenly, repeatedly, and consistently. So let's take a look at how that works. I have on here a circle template that is going to do a 2-inch circle, but I'm not going to stitch the entire circle. I'm only going to do 3/4 of the circle. So I am going to start at an upper diagonal, stitch down the design, and finish on the other upper diagonal. Now you can do this horizontally, vertically, it doesn't matter, but the technique is basically the same. So I have stitched 3/4 of a circle. I am going to slide my template, line everything up, and when I'm lining things up, I'm taking that registration line, the upper diagonal, and I'm kind of envisioning it going right through my needle. So I line that up and I stitch 3/4 of a circle, stitching down around the bottom and back up to the opposite diagonal. Doesn't matter if you go left to right, right to left, whichever works for you. All you're doing is stitching 3/4 of a circle from an upper diagonal to the opposite upper diagonal. You're sliding your template over, you're lining everything up, and you're stitching. When you complete your design, you stop at your stitch line, tie it off, and voila, a lovely E-shaped design. So I was doing these and I got to thinking, well, what happens when I do this with an oval? Can I do 3/4 of an oval? Well, of course you can. So let's take a look at that one and see what happens. And the lovely thing about ovals is everything you can do with a circle, you can do with an oval, but you get 2 different shapes because an oval looks different whether you are standing tall or lying flat. So here we have 3/4 of an oval, and here the oval is lying flat, and here it is standing tall. So let's take a look at that real quick. Now I started the circles by more or less lining up on a bottom line. You can line it up on the top, you can line it up on the bottom. Again, do what makes best sense for you. So we can look and compare how they look. We're going to do the second size oval, just like we did the second size circle. So this is a 2-inch by 1-inch oval. Let's start by lying flat. So this time, instead of lining up on my bottom line, I'm going to line up on my top one. And I'm going to remember to keep my template 1/4 of an inch away from the line. I've lined up and I'm again going to go from upper diagonal around to another upper diagonal. We're going to stitch 3/4 of an oval. So now we've done 3/4 of an oval. We're going to slide our template, line it up again, and again I'm envisioning the lines going through my needle. And we are going to stitch 3/4 of an oval. Slide my template, 3/4 of an oval. Now you can change where you are starting and stopping. You can start before the diagonal, after it, and you will have variations in your design. But you can see how when it's lying flat, my 3/4 of an oval has a slight overlap. Now let's try turning the oval and lining it up so that we are going to do the oval standing tall and see how it looks different. So now we're going to stitch again 3/4 of an oval, slide my template, 3/4 of an oval, slide my template, 3/4 of an oval. So you can see the same movement method is giving you two shapes where the circle only gave you one. That is because ovals always look different whether they are lying flat or standing tall. So I'm bored one day and I'm driving to work, and it's a drive for me, and I'm really bored. And I got running through my head, said, what happens if I do 4/5 of a pentagon or 5/6 of a hexagon? Would this give me a design? Wait till you see what it does. So let's start with the pentagon. Now when you play with these, you do have to look at how they're going to work, whether you need to be on the flat or the point. And I started by playing with the pentagon on the point. So again, let me take my pentagon, and I'm going to take out, and we're going to use, once again, the second smallest size. And I'm going to start with my template at the top of the pentagon. So I'm at the point of the pentagon with a flat surface down here. Now, I want to do 4/5 of a pentagon. This is going to be my top. I'm going to go from here to here. I'm only going to do two sides this first time. We're going to go here to here. I'm going to slide along my bottom piece. And now I'm going to do 4/5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slide my template. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slide my template. 1, 2, 3, 4. When I get to the end of my design, I'm going to do 1, 2. And now I have the beginnings of what I call gems on a string. So you can see how 4/5 of a pentagon created a very lovely design. So let's take a look at 5/6 of a hexagon. So right here, you can count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you see where the 5/6 of a hexagon created? Now these, if you use your hexagon, with the hexagon, it didn't work when I started with a point. I had to start with them on the straight edge on my design. And when you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, slide the template. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now you have diamonds that are right up against each other. Nice little design, right? But what if you want those diamonds to be further apart? Well, that's easy enough to do. When you get done, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, slide her over. 1, 2, 3, you just slide one more over. 4, 5. That's how you can create a space. You can have them so that they are 1 or 2 or 3, whatever you want to have. You have lots and lots of options here. So of course, I have all these geometrics. So you know, of course, I had to test them all out and see what I could get. So there's the hexagon. Here is the octagon, and that is 7/8 of an octagon. And again, we worked on the flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Slide your template and continue around. Does everybody see how that works? And again, if you want spacing in between them to have them look a little bit different, when you get up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, you simply slide it over again, and then go down and get 5, 6, and 7. That's how 7/8 of a pentagon. Now down here is 3/4 of a diamond. And that one took a little bit more to figure out because every time I worked with the diamond, I kept trying to use the points. The only way to make the diamonds work with 3/4 of a design was to work off of the sides and not the points. So let me show you how diamonds will do a design. So when we're doing diamonds, instead of trying to do 3/4, 1, 2, 3, which never worked, I can never make it work. We're not going to start on a point. I may line it up on the point, but we don't start on a point. We're going to start halfway down the side. So I'm going to start at this point spot right here, and I'm going to go to the point, to the point, to the point, and then half again. Can you see how this is also 3/4 of a diamond? Just like this is 3/4 of a diamond, so is this. Okay, now let's take a look at what it will do. Okay, I'm envisioning the line going through my needle. I am sliding my template, keeping my lined up, and I'm going to do 3/4 of a template, of a diamond. Now, I personally think this particular design looks better as a vertical design as opposed to a horizontal design, but to each their own. So I'm going through all of the geometrics and figuring out how they would work. I got to thinking about that octagon again. And I sat there going, well, I've done 7/8 of an octagon, but there's so many sides. What would happen if I tried 6/8 of an octagon? And right down here, you can see the results. So here we have, here is when I'm on the point. Up here, we were on the straight edge, but here I'm lining it up on the point. So now you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slide your template, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is using a portion of the template to create your border design. I highly recommend that you check out a lot of different tools for doing so. We even found a lovely design that I never envisioned being there in the nested petal. So once again, this design right here, we are only using a portion of the template to create the design. 3/4 of the template. Slide the template and you have a continuous line design using your template that was never meant to be that way. When you flip the template over and line it up, you have another lovely design. And this is another method for creating some lovely designs. So, can everybody see how this is 3/4 of a circle? Well, so is this, 3/4 of a circle, 3/4 of a circle. And all we're doing is taking 3/4 of a circle and flipping it over a center line. That's all there is to it. And wait till you see what the oval will do. 3/4 of an oval. All of you people who like to embellish, wouldn't that be just so much fun as a spine? So check out using 3/4 or a portion of your design to create borders. I hope you have lots of fun using 3/4 of a design.